Not all of us have the luxury of having our car to get to and from work each day. That is why public transport is fantastic, because it makes life easier for those of us who do not have a car. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video with your friends. However, this implies that those who do not feel obligated to show respect to others will be forced to confront us in one way or another. They won't be able to avoid it. For some strange reason, public transportation can bring out the worst in people during times of greatest stress, and by worst, we mean the worst characteristic of people. Trains and buses have become a dog's world, and this article shows that many passengers around them are too cruel and have no regard for others. Have you encountered people like this on your daily commute? On the train or bus, you may come across someone or something that you find offensive in various situations. After all, there are a lot of people around in an enclosed space, so there are always times when you travel and encounter other people who act in a way that offends the other people around you. There will be times, for example, when a passenger refuses to give up his seat while others pile their belongings next to his on the bench, preventing anyone from sitting there. There will be times when people play loud music or make a loud phone call that lasts more than 30 minutes. These are just some of the most annoying encounters on public transport. As we have already said, selfish passengers believe they have the right to sit next to their seats, preventing others from sitting down. But do you realize what's worse than that? Those who use their legs as a second seat. Occupying more than one seat is already bad, but refusing to give up the free seat when someone asks politely, this is unacceptably bad. People react to these types of situations in different ways. Some people will try to reach an agreement as peacefully as possible. Other people would be just as rude if they argued while constantly asking for their seat and not stopping until it was given to them. Of course, you have no way of knowing what that odious passenger is up to at that moment. There's no way to know if that obnoxious passenger will suddenly get up and try to fight you. Do you think it's worth getting involved in a violent fight just to be able to sit on public transportation? The victim in this story, on the other hand, has done something you wouldn't believe. A post on Twitter from a user named at DA_drought_3 captured everything that happened in this story. His Twitter post immediately became a viral sensation as it had accumulated more than 137,000 likes, 47,000 retweets, and thousands of comments as of May 2019. There were many comments in the comments section of the Twitter post that seemed to be very praising of the person in the story. The following are some examples of these comments. As a New Yorker, this makes me life. My faith in humanity has been restored, and it's the only way for kids to learn. But what was the tweet that got a lot of people talking? Isabel Kim was the name of the young woman who knew how to capture the incredible moment on Twitter. She is known on social media as at DA_drought_3, and she is quite active on Twitter, where she is known for her posts. Most of her posts feature things she likes, as well as various moments she has captured and decided to share with her large online audience. The day began to be routine for her, but while she was riding the subway to work, she noticed that something strange was happening before her eyes. Therefore, she took photos of what she saw to share with her Twitter followers. To fully understand what happened in Isabel's tweet, it is first necessary to put the situation in context. Those who know the subway know that some trains are not divided into sections. This means that instead of having a seat for each passenger, these subway trains can have long benches that can fit several people. This is precisely what happened in this case. Although 3 people could easily share the space on that bench, this young man became the biggest irritant in history by having other ideas than letting others have seats on the subway. Everyone in the public transport environment is familiar with the unique category of a person known as a toomer, which is self-explanatory. This young man perfectly described this type of traveler in Isabel's Twitter post. This child felt entitled to the entire bench by placing his legs on it while he leaned on his mother. This type of passenger is undeniably annoying. Because of his actions in placing his foot on the table, he occupied 2 seats. As he plays on his mobile device, he appears to be completely oblivious to the damage and discomfort he caused to everyone else on the subway. Is he that self-centered? We don't know if he didn't know it or if he knew it. In general, Everyone agrees to give up their seats on public transport to other people who require them more than you, such as the elderly, people with disabilities, pregnant women, and others, because their lives are more difficult than those of others. At the very least, they need some kind of help. If you don't do it, you will undoubtedly be looked down upon by the rest of the public transport passengers. Although 3 individuals asked the boy to move his legs to sit in one of the 2 spaces he occupied, he ignored them and continued playing with his mobile device. What made this situation even more aggravating was the fact that the mother of the rude child was present, but did nothing to address the situation and remained oblivious to it. Not only did this boy ignore everyone's demands, but his mother also refused to show any kind of consideration. She was almost as naive about the case as her son, which explains why her son is the way she is. She, like her son, had changed phones and was strangely lost in what she was listening to. Those who stayed in the subway thought the situation was dangerous. With each passing second, the people waiting in front of him grew angrier, and the boy felt the most frustration he could think of on the subway when everything was focused on him. To try and alleviate the problem, the boy knelt a bit to give the others room to sit down, but this had no effect, as it irritated them even more. His attempts to help people onto the bench were useless because his legs were still taking up space on the bench. Even though the people in the subway did nothing, they were already fed up with the boy and thought that negotiating with him made no sense. Until a stranger arrived and saved the situation. Who or what was he? After a while, a mysterious man approached and stared at the disrespectful boy while he started playing with his phone. Many people have commented on the tweet, claiming that the man with the black sunglasses and suspiciously Elton John-like hairstyle could be him. It wasn't him. In such a subway, what would the British superstar do? The comic impact of the plot was not diminished. She made the story even more hilarious, if anything, because she appeared to be Elton John on the subway. What did the Elton John impersonator do to turn this tweet into a viral hit? What did he do that made him out of this world? The man, who looked like Elton John, stood there waiting for the boy to realize that he wanted to sit down and clear the way so that he, like everyone else before him, could take a seat. As a result, when this rude boy decided to ignore another person once again, this mysterious man became even more irritated by the boy's arrogance and actions. This boy's callousness, as well as his lack of understanding of the situation and the tension surrounding him, clearly offended this man. He wanted to take matters into his own hands and tell himself that if no one else did it, he would. What was this man up to exactly? This guy was teaching the boy something he would never forget, a lesson he would remember until he was older. Without hesitation, the man did something as bold as sitting on the boy's legs. After all, before doing what he did, he respectfully asked the boy to move, but he, like everyone else, refused the man's request. Unexpectedly, the man lost all patience and made the best of a bad situation. After all, the seat wasn't the boy's, and he had every right to sit there. Isabel Kim was able to capture the exact moment the boy was startled after the stranger sat on him, an incredible moment. The boy was speechless, and all she could do was sit with her mouth open. Judging by these images, it's as if this is one of the few times this boy doesn't get his way, and she struggles to come to terms with what has happened. In contrast to the boy who put his legs there, the man who was sitting on the boy had every right to sit in that space. This mystery man wanted to teach this boy named Joe some etiquette because he didn't seem to have been taught anything at home. Before the mother realized what had happened, it was too late. There is no doubt that the young man had learned his lesson. Even after the boy sat on the boy's legs, the lady didn't seem to pay attention to anything that had happened. By the time the man was able to get more comfortable, the mother realized that they had missed the stop and immediately decided to blame her son, which is false since she was the one supposed to pay attention to the stops, not his son. She has no one but herself to blame on that occasion for blocking out the world around her with the use of YouTube and music. Isabel was able to capture the aftermath of the crazy moment on her phone, which she also shared on Twitter. The situation became extremely awkward, as the boy's mother made a scene over the situation, prompting them to leave the subway as quickly as possible. Not only did the man give this boy an important lesson in public transport etiquette, but the woman also insulted him in front of everyone present at the time. The mother and son left the subway as soon as Isabel finished recording, but that is not all. The boy approached the man as soon as the video finished to say something. However, it was not the kind of sentence one would expect after an etiquette lesson. Instead, he cursed the stranger who had sat on his lap before leaving. This story became unpredictable following several events that made him wonder if it had happened. What would you do if you found yourself in this situation? Joe, like Elton John's stunt double, will no doubt be remembered in subway folklore for the rest of his life. Although many people were fascinated by the incident, some did not agree with the man's actions. They had a lot to say about the incident and were not holding back at all. What were his reactions to the incident?